made it.
I am amazed that happened. It almost didn't. I was wrong about the time.
Oh, dude, it's totally fine.
Sorry, man.
No worries at all. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you. I have not
Yeah.
seen you in a really, really long time.
Yeah, likewise. You have a beard. You have a
Good God.
like new hairdo and
Yeah.
everything.
No, I'm a different person. Maybe it's like a 50-50 good and bad thing. Maybe.
I love it. I
Thank
think
you.
everyone should like do a complete metamorphosis every
I
6
think
months.
a lot of people maybe have done that without meaning to. I didn't mean to do this. I didn't mean to age like 15 years in a matter of months, but I did. You got a mustache.
I got a mustache. I got a quarantine mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my contribution.
You have graced us all. Thank you for your contribution. Yeah, I've started to enjoy listening to podcasts, and recognizing the Zoom audio from people that I want to hear, and it's it's a weirdly comforting thing for this period of time.
It's interesting. I feel like every era of music has their lo-fi audio signature. So it's like cassettes from the 90s and the 80s, vinyl tape. I wonder if iPhone memos and Zoom recordings are going to be the nostalgic lo-fi sound. I
would not be surprised if they make their way into the bedroom pop world.
Yeah.
Because straight up, because people are recording probably remotely and stuff now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing it by way of Zoom. And I'm sure
for sure
there had to be some vocals cut through Zoom call.
Yeah.
With nice mic held up to computer mic.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm starting to speak out of my comfort zone.
I think it's the way of the future. I don't know if the Rona showed us that or if it was just kind of going to come eventually. But yeah, I think more remote recording and collabing type things like that. Yeah. Well, if you're down, I say we just kind of roll into it. I feel like that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, let's ease.
Zoom audio issues for a podcast.
Yeah, that feels very current.
Yeah. So tell me, how has this year been for you? Speaking of Quar.
Yeah, speaking of the Rona, Quar, lots of abbreviations.
Yeah.
Has been
the Rona, the Quar, the team.
Year. It has been. I have been very, very, very lucky in my quarantine experience to be around people I love, and
that's awesome.
I have been. Yeah, I've been incredibly lucky to be in a good spot. I moved into a new place in Nashville.
Cool.
Started dating someone new. It's been a really new, just a lot of change personally on top of global change as well.
Yeah.
So, it's been just a super formative time, and it's kind of made some things that, starting a new relationship and starting new friendships with roommates and meeting new people and music relationships. It's made that stuff less daunting considering it's on a scale with the world being on fire. So that's definitely relaxing in some ways.
Yeah.
I can maybe FaceTime with someone that I don't know super well, considering the alternative is to think about how everything is very bad. So
yeah, I think it's a really healthy perspective to have right now too, is to just kind of embrace the transformation that everyone's going through and to not shun it. It's
no, man. Yeah, you can't avoid it.
If you're developing new friendships and moving into a new place and just kind of letting things happen. I know it's hard to just go with the flow when the world's in a pandemic, but if that's the only option you have, it's what you got to do.
Essentially, yeah. And how you get there is up to you. I definitely, in order to genuinely have the go with the flow days, it requires me letting myself hit the floor very hard.
Yeah.
Quite literally lay and cry into carpet.
Yeah.
For certain points for, a day at a time. It has definitely been, I've just demanded of myself from the beginning of this that I feel all of it, because I don't know, man. I was trying to deal with that before all this shit started. And then once it started, I was like, now is not a time to continue that behavior of not dealing with things in the present.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm only left with me during a quarantine period, or like, still just like distancing from people, like I don't want to be hanging out alone and just be hit with a wave of like, oh wait, I haven't felt anything I should have been feeling for the past 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, does that make any sense? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
So I've been trying to be really real time processing emotions during this time.
Yeah, and I feel I'm kind of going back to when I met you in probably like 2018, maybe early 2019.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot has happened since that point for you, and just kind of following along. So I want to kind of like zoom out a little bit and just kind of like talk about your introduction into music in general, like what that looked like, and kind of get us back to this point now.
Cool. That seems more fun to me than maybe Empire. That sounds good. I can talk about that.
Yeah. So tell me, like, what are your earliest memories of music? Did you have like, music in church or family? What did that look like?
I was an only child growing up. I now have lots of younger siblings, but I was alone a lot, and music was definitely like the thing to lean on. It was really big in my family. I lived with my dad when I was younger, and God bless my mom. She music was not her undertaking. It was definitely more prominent in my dad's house. So grew up with like huge CD collection, which was pretty badass. So always, looking at the album covers when I was playing with toys, and like around it a lot. My dad and my grandpa both played, so I was definitely knew it as an option from a really young age. And got it.
I was just going to ask, any standout CDs that you can remember that were on repeat?
Well, so the first one I found that I listened to and enjoyed was the Beatles' White Album, which was like crazy to hear at 9 years old.
Yeah, especially for a kid.
Absolutely. But it took me some time, because I was like, I had to learn to refine the taste, because I remember pulling out a Kid Rock CD and being like, hell yeah, man, that's a badass hat that he's wearing.
I'm into it.
This is what I'm going to listen to while I go to bed.
Yeah.
And like hearing like one song and then feeling shame for the first time, developing from there. But yeah, I mean, it is funny. Like the album art was huge for me when I was younger. Just because I wouldn't listen to a lot of them, but I remember all the like Rage Against the Machine album art, and like I don't know, just like all these like 90s bands. That
was such a statement era.
Totally.
I feel like you had to have this over the top image along with the music, because I mean everything was about music videos and what the music looked like on a shelf at Walmart or your local record store. Is that something that you try and channel now, like getting into the nitty-gritty of visuals and developing a sense of a world in your music?
Totally. I think that influence of spending a lot of time looking at album art when I was younger planted that seed really early on. So the visuals are like, I'm not super talented as far as like having a vision for that kind of stuff, but I'm like by it. So I work real close with our like music video directors, like my best friend, and his DP is also like, my other best friend. So like, we all value that stuff really heavily. And same with the album art, like especially the upcoming stuff, we tried to be really like, tried to channel that thing that you were mentioning of like how statement, I don't know, just like how bold everything was back then. Like I want stuff now to be, and it's not like a new thought, but like, just very distinct in its own world, so that people can talk about like, because the way I talk with my friends, and I'm curious if you are the same way, like when we talk about music videos that we see, like we don't say like, yeah, you guys know that, did you watch the new whatever video? Like, it was this crazy concept. Like, it's just like did you see the pogo stick video? You know what I mean? Like, it's like one stark image that like
Yeah.
sticks out to you. So we definitely think in terms of like, if we're going to do something, it's like in the last music video, I was like, I want people to watch it and be like, oh, that's the tennis court one or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in like very small scale.
Yeah, no, I mean that's something that like I've definitely picked up on with your music is just like the attention to detail with
Oh,
the
thank you.
visual image. And I think like I'm the same way. I'm not a super like visually inclined person myself, but
Sure.
having that community around you to kind of take where the music stops and like to build this universe that is like an EP or an album or whatever the project is. I feel like that notion is coming back,
Yeah.
just because people are so just like visually inclined with having these things in front of our face all the time, and it's like,
Uh,
how do
uh,
I get people's attention?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it almost has to be, that's a really good way of putting that. And I think there's the same connection now to that sort of concept as there was in the 90s or early 2000s. Like, I
yeah,
think creating a world visually or musically can be an escape from the phone, can be an
yeah,
escape. Because for me, it's like, I dude, I can't keep up with the internet. Like, it
yeah,
kicks my ass every day that I use it.
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
so stressful to me. And like, I want to like TikTok. I wish I could use TikTok and it didn't make me feel like puking.
yeah.
But like, I want a record to be like a place of solace from that pace. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point. Yeah, because I think we live in this bite-sized world of like minute-long videos or 15-second
Mm-hmm.
long videos, and I think it's kind of it's going against the norm to have like a fully produced 5-minute long cinematic music video.
Sure.
But that to me like is a really really exciting on the creative front.
Oh, dude,
It's just like, oh yeah, well, let's not do the thing that all the
totally.
influencers are doing.
Yeah, for sure. Some of that was just by thank you for saying that. I
Of
think,
course.
yeah, most of that was I'm just literally not capable of doing I tried to learn TikTok.
Yeah, dude, I feel like I'm too old for that. It just
Dude,
breaks my
I tried
brain.
that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way too hard for me. I don't like it.
Yeah. So, okay, growing up in a pretty musical household, lots of music.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like going into high school? Did you play in bands, or what did like your early songwriting ventures look like?
Mm-hmm. High school was when it kicked off that it could be, the idea kicked off in my mind that it could be a long-term thing. It was something
Cool.
that I could connect with on a deeper level than just like a hobby. Because
Yeah.
up to that point, I had played sports my whole life, so I was like, I didn't understand that you could have passions that were not just what you did after school. So
Yeah.
like finding music, and like I remember the first time that I had the urge to like get up in the middle of the night and like write a song. Like I will never forget that feeling and being like, oh my God, this is real. This doesn't just happen in movies. And like running downstairs at like 2 a.m. and being like, Dad, I just sat up and wrote a song. And him
Yeah.
being like, I love you, but this, like, tell me, you can just go to sleep maybe. And you can tell me that this happened. But like,
Sage advice.
yes, truly. But yeah, I realized pretty early on in high school that it was something I could do to develop an identity. So it became
Yeah.
really important to me.
Where did you grow up?
So my dad lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and my mom, like right in my middle school days, I think like 7th grade or something, she moved to Florida. So
Okay.
I was back and forth between there. I would go
Yeah.
to her for vacations and summers
Yeah.
and stay in Knoxville for the school year.
Man, East Tennessee and Florida, man, you have
I-
like
I've seen some
Southern roots. Yeah.
To put it plainly, I have seen things that will haunt.
Yeah. East Tennessee. I feel like East Tennessee man is underrated in the
truly.
like Appalachian mountain man, isolated.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, we need to get that back on the map.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, the parts that are progressive, of course, not the really shitty, terrible things.
Not in this climate.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Dude, I just watched a really great documentary called Hillbilly.
Okay.
It's about like Appalachian culture, and it's crazy, like how much it was influenced by how it was portrayed like in the media in like the 80s and 90s.
Interesting.
Real niche thing, like very funny to stumble on right now. But they talk about racial injustice within Appalachian communities as well, and like the effects of mining and stuff like that. And it was really interesting. But it made me realize that like how much the stigma on the South is real. And like,
oh yeah, for sure. And it's generational too.
Totally. Yeah.
Especially with those like mining communities where it was a thriving metropolis at one point, and then you just have like a complete evacuation of all industry, and it lends itself to like extreme poverty.
Dude, it's like jarring.
Yeah.
Are you from Tennessee? Or are you from the South?
I'm from Memphis, so I'm on the other side. But we have our own brand of crazy too. Yeah,
Memphis is a lot.
Yeah,
I've like loved it every time I've gone. But
yeah, it's especially a fun like musical environment.
Totally,
so many just like very real artists are there right now. So growing up in East Tennessee, Florida, how did you eventually come to Nashville?
So I came first with the goal of going to college. So I went to Lipscomb.
Cool.
Which I don't think I would have been there when I met you. So I went, that was like 2016 or 17. I came to go to school. I guess 2016. Came to go to school. Lasted a year and a half, which was pretty impressive based on my lifestyle. And left school then, and just never left for more than a few months. But so I basically planted roots. That like 2017. I knew it would be on for a while. So I've been around back to Knoxville for a bit, California for a bit, with my mom for a bit. But it's always been like home base for 5 or 6 years now. Yeah.
And it feels like, at least when I first met you, that kind of, I don't know, I don't think that was like the Lipscomb community, but we met at Uko Studios, which was like a DIY venue.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. And there was just this cool kind of DIY community around both like songwriters and rock music. Tell me a little bit about like how that community has influenced what you do as an artist.
It's in the back of my mind every time I pick up a guitar. Like, I'm sure we all feel that in some way. Like, with whatever that formative group of people was, and that those formative places that we played. But like, dude, I would never want to make music that if I were to go play in a basement in Nashville this week, like it wouldn't excite those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's a good testing ground, I feel like.
Sure. Yeah. I don't like. I've talked to a lot of my friends who play music, and I think we all do this thing of like imagining like where a song would be played. And like growing up, I always like imagined like how would this feel if this was like the first song we played at a headlining show at like the Bijou Theater in Tennessee, in Knoxville. Like, but it very quickly became like, what's gonna get these like drunk, really funny college kids to like go crazy?
How do we like start the mosh pit in mom's basement?
Kinda. I mean, 100% is what I mean by kinda.
And I feel like too with your music, it kind of straddles this like both folk inspired singer songwriter type music that's very like emotional, but it's also like rock and aggressive, and that to me is kind of the Nashville kind of like common ground. It's kind of this beacon for songwriters, but also there's like this very thriving rock scene out of East Nashville and Third Man and all these other like different pieces. I'm curious, like for you as a songwriter, how did that taste develop over time, especially with this new music, which feels like it kind of it's gone in a slightly different direction, but it's still very much your own unique voice.
Thank you. That's high praise, man. Thanks. I think it's always been about the songwriting for me, just because of what I grew up around. I just grew up around like a family who worshiped John Prine. So like I was always really tuned into like the power of words in a song and the power of simplicity with words. And then I got to Nashville, and like at the age where angst was like the only thing fueling anything I did. So like I learned very quickly the impact of being a young person that was pissed off, and like you could demand attention that way, and you could like, I don't know, you could get a point across in ways to certain people that you wouldn't get across without just being fucking angry sometimes. So like started kind of combining that, like, you know, oh, I don't know, man, like this is just how I see the world, with like, damn it, like listen to what I want to say.
That's powerful.
You know, and like it was so empowering, and that was met with a lot of people being like, we feel the same way. So that was like really relieving within the Nashville scene to like just start opening a door at shows for kids to be whatever they needed to be. But you know, trying in the midst of being like, because it's gone back and forth between like, love to be, you know, considered a writer, but and like I think a lot of young men in music, like the rock star idea is the most prominent like option. So I dealt with that idea a lot growing up too, of like, you know, I'm just going to be this like hardened person that like is misunderstood.
So, like,
trying to bridge that gap, because I realized very quickly like it's fun to act like I want to be lonely, but then when I'm the pissed off drunk dude at a show that just like smash the guitar, like people don't actually want to talk to you.
No, bad vibes.
Yeah, not the person you want to talk to. So yeah, I tried to realize pretty quickly that you could do a balance of the two. So that's where I've tried to sit. And the single that we've released for it'll be off the upcoming record is like definitely the most laid back on the record. So it's a pretty heavy blend of the heavier stuff with the full songs, which I'm stoked about.
I think, man, what you said about being like a young person and trying just to make sense of your emotions and dealing with that in a positive way. I think I went through something very similar, and I think songwriting is the healthiest way to channel those emotions. And it feels like the songwriters that I talk to for this podcast or just out in life in general, like the sadder your music, the like more pleasant you are to be around. Like the heavier the subject matter, it's like the better the hang, you know?
Usually, I mean, it just comes down to like, it's just trying to be honest, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've gotten to meet some of my, you know, songwriting heroes over the past year or two, and like, it's always been people that I've been so terrified to talk to and to meet, because of the depth and just like the darkness of some of their songwriting. But then I mean, you're totally right. They're always such shiny people because they get it out, man. They say what they need to say. You know what I mean? It's so relieving. And do you feel that way in your writing? Like, is it a really cathartic thing for you?
Oh, big time. I mean, that's why I started, you know, it's like, I had a very similar situation, like only child, didn't really have an avenue to like express myself. And I mean, like 20 years later, it's still the same thing. It's grabbing a
Totally.
notebook and a guitar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just the easiest way. I feel like it's harder to communicate those things verbally than it
Mhm.
is to communicate them musically. It's just
Yeah.
a more direct emotional pipeline onto the page.
Sure.
But I'm curious, as things build and grow, and um, you know, like record labels and managers and producers, and is it hard to maintain that honest connection to your fan base, or is it just like, this is what I do, it doesn't matter like who else is along for the ride?
I think there are people that it's not hard for, and I am not one of those people at all. I have been lucky in the way, uh, in another way, that I've had people checking me constantly.
Yeah,
Friends who are real enough to say, "Hey, you're being a dick," or "Hey, you should be working harder because you're capable of working harder." You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or like, I've been lucky enough to be around people who have not just told me what I wanted to hear, um, which at first made me really mad. And then I learned, and I'm still constantly learning, that like the faster you're willing to be wrong, the quicker you're gonna get to a place that's
yep,
better for everybody. So yeah, man. I mean, it was so tough, and I was just gone a lot. Like I'd never really
yeah,
been. So I'd leave town for a long time and then come back. I got to go to LA a lot last year to like work on the record. So I'd go hang with this producer in LA for 2 or 3 weeks and talk in a really specific way, and view things in a really specific way, and come home and talk to my friends. And it would be like I was trying out a character and like seeing how far I could get away with it almost. And
yeah,
like eventually my closest friends would be like, "Dude, are you okay? Like, what are you doing?" And so learning that I didn't have to mold to every situation, but
yeah,
could like glean what I could from those places, was like a really important thing to be able to get through that time. So yeah, I mean, quarantine was a time that I really tried to do the work and like figure out what I wanted and who I was. So a lot of my energy now goes towards like caring about figuring out what I love and what I stand for,
yeah,
and like how to take care of myself enough to then take care of the other people
yeah,
that I love, and to like be myself for them.
yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know.
That's huge. I mean, yeah, especially the taking care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. I think that's
RuPaul said
so
it best.
tough. Yeah. It's like, it's so tough as a person in general, but especially with like our line of work where you're constantly traveling, you're in these environments where like it's kind of toxic.
Oh, it's gross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like dark, scuzzy uh, buildings that like it's easy to go down a path you don't want to go down.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. I think that's like the way to maintain a long career.
I hope
Yeah,
that, yeah, I hope that it like is that simple. I hope that
yeah,
it's like as easy as just constantly reminding yourself that you
yeah,
don't have to be anything that you're not.
yeah. And even if it's not a long career, at least you can like come out with your sanity in check.
Yeah, you can
You
like
know?
be not a insane person.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, which is I understand more and more every day why that's hard to do.
yeah. I guess I've been dealing with this a lot and just kind of asking myself these questions. But um, when kind of asking those questions, do you struggle with kind of defining who you are as a person outside of music?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. The moments that I hate myself the most are when I'm required not to lean on the crutch that
Yeah.
I've leaned on my whole life. Not that music is a crutch overall, but like, yeah, I mean, I think we all develop enough of like a vocab with music shit to like get through any conversation that we need to talking about music and like talking about, I don't know. I mean, you can fake vulnerability when talking about music is really easy. And like, I've tried to like, I don't know, like stop being that way. Like just being like, I don't know, man, these songs like mean a lot to me. Like, you know, there's like a language, and like you can get through conversations without saying much, but feeling like you've said a lot. And like, I mean, I like really value conversations like this that we're having right now of like, I don't know, like I want to, after the interview's over, I want to like keep talking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it to be like a genuine thing.
Yeah.
I mean, realizing that and like just trying to make sure I could talk without talking about music was terrifying at first. And I don't know how your experience with that has been, but for me it was really scary. And
it's
like
tough.
I just realized that at first I thought I didn't like anything else, and like I would always be so offended when like college applications or something would be like, explain your interests, and it'd be like, you know, but it can't be your major or like whatever. And I was like, music is my, like, I don't,
it's my life.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was so like pissed off about it. But yeah, dude, now I've started, I mean, I love so many simple things. Like I love fucking hanging out outdoors, like, and doing redneck shit. I like, and I like animals, and I like spending time with my friends, fishing with animals outdoors.
Like, it's crazy. Like you know, such a large chunk of our lives is spent on like just being isolated, and it's hard to develop hobbies kind of outside of that thing.
Sure.
I think honestly, like these past few months have been really good for opening my eyes to that, to where it's like, okay, I can't do anything else. Maybe I should go on a hike, or I need to like cleanse my palate in some other way, so that when I do voluntarily decide to come back to making music, I am approaching it from like a healthy aspect. And music is just one characteristic of my personality. It is not the entire definition.
Right.
But that's a hard lesson to learn.
Absolutely. And I think you have to learn it by way of, you know, trial and error. Like I think you have to hit that wall of being like, why doesn't this feel how I want it to feel?
Yeah.
And like when you put so much weight on it, it's so tough, man. Like when I don't know, I just put so much, like I thought that you had to write, like in order to write good songs, I thought that it required the nights of like nothing coming out and just being so angry and staying up till 5 a.m. waiting for the idea that doesn't come, and you just like can't sleep, and like and I think there are elements of that like I have those traits maybe in a way that sometimes come in handy, like when I need to do that. But like I mean, I had to learn how to separate myself as well, just like, I mean, exactly like you said, like so that come back to music, because we have lives as well. Like we have people that expect things from us, and and families, you know, that like,
if it were any other job, it would be really unhealthy.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine like a person working at like Office Depot, like being up at like 5 a.m. and being like, God, I love paper, but like I don't know, like it doesn't work that way.
I've got to write these sales down.
I need these numbers to get out of me. It's terrible.
I would love to meet that guy and have him on the podcast.
I feel like I've maybe met that guy like on tour in like Milwaukee or something. Like, he's definitely had a show.
They're there for sure.
Oh yeah. What are you drinking? What's that blue drink you got there?
This is a little Jonie-Aid. It's Mio water. It's like,
oh nice.
just like, it's super fucking hot here in LA,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
I'm trying to like catch up on my electrolytes right now.
Crazy that you're in LA. That's so exciting to hear.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yes, I'm sure.
It's a crazy time right now.
Yeah, I can
but
imagine. Are you safe, like from? I mean, because
yeah,
fire and
we're
stuff right now?
super central,
Okay.
and the fires are a little bit farther east than we are.
Oh, really? So they're coming
And
inland.
yeah, it's my wife and I just checked it a little bit ago, and it's kind of right on the border of Pasadena, which is kind of
Wow.
the northeast corner. And her office is based out of Glendale, and she's working from home obviously right now, but
Right.
it's kind of like, oh shit, like we live in Hollywood, which is very like middle of the city.
Right.
It's like, oh, I never thought that we would ever have that issue, but
Sure.
it could be an issue.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
We're fine, but I appreciate
Yeah.
you saying that.
Dude, for sure.
With
Crazy.
your trips to California to work on this record, tell me a little bit about that.
I was there a lot last year. I was
Cool.
there for probably like 2 or 3 months total, broken up.
Yeah.
So I came. The first trip I took was to like meet the producer. We worked with a guy named John Congleton, who
Yeah.
like is, dude, he's the man.
He's one of my favorite producers.
Oh, really? You know his
Yeah.
stuff, dude.
Yeah.
He's my little cowboy. So I call him. Well, actually, he demands that I call him Uncle Wiggly, because that's what he is. He's our wiggly little uncle. He's a.
I don't want any
something else.
context. I just want to
Oh,
leave
no,
it
no.
at that.
Dude, if I had more, I would provide it. But that's it. So yeah, I went out there to meet him for the first trip, and we met and had a great talk. And I stayed out there for another 2 or 3 weeks, and he very graciously set me up with a bunch of his friends to write and start, just because I came out there. I did the classic, like, went to California with 10 songs and was like, this is the record. And he was like, you are stupid and dumb, because that's not the record, and it never is. It's very rarely how it goes, from what I've learned. So yeah, he put me in this like amazing couple weeks of writing with a ton of different people, and
Cool.
got to meet some really talented and sweet people through that. So spent some time out there, and then I'd come back and we'd play some shows and tour a little bit, and then I would go back out. I went back out twice on my own, and then the third trip was like really the bulk of the tracking. So I went out with the band that I play with, and because we played with his guys before.
Cool.
And then went back out in February with my people, and then was there for another like 2 weeks or so.
Cool.
And we finished up the record. We got the track at Sunset Sounds.
Cool. Yeah.
Sunset, like crazy history, wild like folklore shit. Just so many cool stories, and like awesome room that we got the track in. And yeah, and then we came back, and then everything imploded. So we got super lucky on the cutoff point of when that shit.
And honestly, like, good timing, it sounds like, too. Just
truly,
having that prep period during the time when you can't play shows or do anything else.
100%. Yeah, we literally missed it by that much. Like, I got back from recording, did a really dumb thing, and drove to New York to see a person that I had a crush on, who I'm now happily in a relationship with. But
I love it.
Went up there, and the day I got to New York, which is like 2 days after we left LA, I got to New York, and everyone started freaking out because they were like, they're going to shut off the city. And I had driven up there, and so
oh no, I'm stuck.
I literally was like, I'm going to be stuck with this person that I am meeting for the second time.
Yeah, make or break.
Truly. But luckily, I ended up driving back the next day, and then as soon as I got home, it was like whole country shut down.
Damn, man.
Yeah, dude,
that's
insane.
Wild.
Pretty crazy.
That's like in Star Wars when the two walls are closing in and they have to just like narrowly escape.
Yeah,
they
it was
wedge.
like,
Yeah.
yes, it was like that, but it was like me on 54th Street with like two just like mean police officers being like,
Yeah.
you can't fucking walk here, man.
No.
Like, you gotta go. Like,
damn, dude, what a wild year this year has been.
yeah,
I know it's like kind of a cliche at this point, but it's just like,
no, it's been wild enough that you can
fuck.
say it. Still.
Yeah.
It sucked bad enough that everyone can at any point just say like,
this year.
Shitty. Yeah, this has been a bad time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, lots of, I don't know. I mean, very few definite good things have happened, but lots of seeds planted.
Lots of lessons, you
Yes.
know, and I think a lot of lessons that you do have to learn trial by fire.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm ready to have learned those lessons.
Yeah, no. I'm good. We can go. Yeah.
We can check that box.
Anytime.
Yeah.
That the universe is ready. I'm like so down for
are you missing playing live music?
Yeah, big time. It was so much of what I was looking forward to about this year. We had a lot of dates booked, and we were gonna go on tour with like my best friend's band, and which was like a childhood dream of ours, and we had some cool festival slots and stuff, and we came off. I mean, we were on the road for like 75 days or something last October, November.
Wow.
So the last show we played was like in Nashville in November, and so we haven't played since then.
Yeah.
And so like it was crazy to end on a hometown note and have such a good time, and then not even know that was going to be the last shot. So like dude, I miss it so much. I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you?
I miss it a ton, and like I had kind of scaled back the live side of what I do last year, and just kind of focused on production and working with other people. And it's I feel like because I can't do it right now, that's the reason I want to do it.
Yeah, you know? Oh, totally. That's human nature. Yeah.
I had a dream about it last night. I was like playing with the band I played in high school. But it was like a festival crowd, like just as far as I could see. I was just like, oh, I really miss this. This sucks. But yeah, I do miss it.
Dude. Oh man.
I miss certain aspects of it. I think like going into hopefully a return to normalcy at some point next year, there are definitely things that I'll be like, okay, I'm cool on like getting too drunk at shows, or you know, the 13-hour drive to New York. Like I'm cool on that, but the like interacting with people aspect of music is definitely something that I'm like itching for right now.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. No, I completely agree on everything that you said. I miss just hanging out and even making a fool of myself in front of people. Like at shows. But yeah, it'll definitely be like a new perspective of like because I think I've learned a lot about what I can handle now too. Like, and there's less of an urgency of like, I don't know, like having it all taken away is just perspective, you know, and it's just been like showing what, you know, revealing what's important to me. So like, the 30-hour drive shit will be like, dude, let's just split it up into 3 days and go see a movie.
Let's not wreck ourselves.
Yeah, let's enjoy this, because we're gonna be sitting at home eventually, like, and you don't want to be sitting there like just so wiped from years of that it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Tell me what's next. When does the album come out?
We are shooting right now for March of 2021. Cool. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I would love for that to be the case. I would love for it to come out tomorrow, but we've got a couple more songs to release before the full length is out. So we've got another song, I think next month in October is the plan. And then maybe one or two more before the record. And then so we tried to plan it to where the kind of I've heard floating around is word that March will be when things maybe start getting booked for like next summer. So hopefully the record will be out with time to like see if we're going to be able to tour. And like so much of this record I hope is people getting to hear it live. So
for sure.
We're working on videos in the meantime. It's a I'm revealing a lot here, but
drop it.
Yeah, let me sprinkle. This is sprinkling. It's a 10-song record.
Cool.
Our plan right now is to do a video for every song as well.
Wow, incredible.
Dude, we had the time, and like luckily money that would have gone towards touring can go towards making vids. So we just got back like a week ago from a trip, or maybe 2 weeks ago, from a trip that the director and myself and my roommate all went on. We drove up to Maine and just hit a bunch of shit and filmed in a ton of places along the way for a couple of the videos. So like we filmed in an underground cave in Kentucky that was like flooded that you can like paddleboard through. So that shit was insane. And then filmed some crazy like ridiculous places in West Virginia that I felt very unsafe. And then we filmed in Acadia in Maine.
Cool.
Which is just like one of my favorite places in the world. Oh, and we shot in New York. We hung safely with a bunch of our friends up there, and my girlfriend lives there. So we were like, we did like a whole choreographed dance routine in Central Park.
Dude, I'm so stoked. You had the best dance moves on the tennis court video. I think we need to bring back choreographed music videos again.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, they all were like, we put it in the hands of my very funny, talented friends. And we're like, let's do an anti-TikTok dance. So it's a lot of like arms crossing and like ridiculous, like just silly shit.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Well, I'm stoked for the record. Thank you so much for coming on the pod and just like sharing some stuff. Oh, one thing I've been doing with artists on these episodes is kind of ending the podcast with a question for a young person, or really just anybody that's creative or a songwriter, an artist that's going through a hard time right now. What is a piece of advice you would give them?
Man, I would recommend taking a step back. I know it's so hard to give concrete advice without sounding cliche or like a Santa Claus character in a movie, but like, yeah, dude, I have been the person my entire life to do the 32-hour drives and to lose sleep constantly over demanding more of myself or of the universe until I like just mangled it into existence. And I have gained so much from just taking a walk, like truly, as simple as that sounds, like doing 2 laps around the neighborhood and coming back and picking up a guitar. And even if in the world of like taking care of yourself as much as demanding of yourself to like produce something. So like just stay in touch with yourself and take that step back.
Super important. Thank you, Briston. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This was fantastic.
Cut.